How's it going, and welcome to The Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this, right? The, I get in focus there, TC Electronic Plethora X3. So, but before we do, as always, I'll ask you to please like and subscribe, and sure, hit the notifications bell while you're at it, and you can be kept up to date every time I put out a new video. So, this is the Plethora X3 by TC Electronic, right? I have to put it over my face, I think, to try and get it to autofocus. Yeah. So, I've had this pedal for about 2 months. I bought it because I wanted to downsize my pedalboard. I've made a video about that new pedalboard, and that video is up here. I wanted to downsize my new pedalboard, and I use a MIDI switching rig, which is a Boss ES8, that I have pedals and loops, and then I generally have a couple of pedals that I bring up MIDI presets on. On that board, I was using a Flashback X4 and a Line 6 M5 for doing delay, reverb, and modulation. And so this is about 50% the size of those two pedals combined. And so I bought this to be able to replace the two of them, and as a result, downsize my pedalboard. To speak a little bit about what this is, right? Because it's a multi-effects unit, and there's a lot of multi-effects units out there in the market, but this is very different to the rest of them. And actually, as a result, and because I was used to kind of the Nova system being the TC Electronic multi-effects, this is an entirely different concept to that. I was actually really against the X5 when it came out. I just didn't understand what it was for. And the reason for that is I use a HX Effects by Line 6 bass board for when I'm gigging live. And the reason for that is, as well as being a multi-effects unit, it's also a controller. So you plug other effects into it, your outboard effects into it, and use it to control everything. And in that way, it's fantastic. But it's very big. Whereas this replaces 3 stomp boxes on a pedalboard. That's exactly what it does. And it can replace a different 3 stomp boxes every time you switch to a different pedalboard within it. So in that way, it's very different. You're not plugging other pedals into this and controlling them from this. It's something that you put on your pedalboard, and you either use it manually flicking between, which you can flick between pedalboards by hitting these 2 switches up or these 2 switches down. You go up and down through pedalboards. But it's very different, like I said, to a conventional multi-effects unit, any one of the ones that I've ever used, in that it's not really intended to be the mastermind of your pedalboard. It's intended to supplement your pedalboard. And in that way, it does that perfectly. And I've been really, really impressed with it. I will say, something like this, in the situation I use it, relies on MIDI massively so. And when I bought it at first, I was really disappointed with a lot of the MIDI functionality. And then they did an update recently where they've increased the MIDI functionality, and it's after completely bringing it into a new realm. So it's fantastic in that respect. So the things you can do with MIDI are you can switch up and down between pedalboards. You can use CC commands to turn the individual switches on and off. You can use expression via MIDI to control any parameter you want. And you can now use MIDI to set the tempo of each pedalboard or each effect within a pedalboard, and you can use MIDI to turn it on and off to tune or function, which basically means it can do absolutely everything I need to do. It's tiny. I think these are around 300 quid now. It's very, very good value. And all in all, it's a really impressive unit. So the reason I'm making this demo more so than anything else is to show it in that context and show kind of how it's different to other multi-effects units. Because of that, like I said, about it being part of your overall rig as opposed to controlling your overall rig. Very, very different concept. And yeah, so there you go. That's the intro, I guess. So let's take a listen to it now. Okay, so it can always be tricky to know how to best demo a multi-effects unit. So in that respect, I'm going to demo 2 ways. The first is in a recording situation where you're sitting down looking to pull up effects. And then secondly, I'm just going to show the different presets I already have built into it. And I'll talk about them when I get to them. But starting off, so last night, for example, I sat down to record some guitar parts for my band's new single here at home, and I needed a delay, a reverb, and a top tremolo. And I've my 2 amps set up here. I've got a Koch Studiotone 20 head and a Hotone Nano Legacy British Invasion, like Vox flavored mini head, and both of those are going straight in via emulated outputs into my interface. I'm playing this Mexican, about 10-year-old Telecaster that is a 60s reissue Telecaster that just has regular Telecaster pickups and configuration. The amps are a little bit dirty. Okay, and then I have this Pigtronics Distortion micro in front for a bit of gain. So the fuzz, hit a button, it's an overdrive, it's a great pedal. So, like I said, I needed an echo or a delay, I needed a reverb, and I needed a tremolo. Okay, so all I did was I went to an empty preset that I wasn't using for my live stuff, and I just pulled up these three effects. I wanted the echo into the reverb, and then I wanted to put the tremolo last, so the tremolo would modulate the level of the reverb and the delay as well as just the original signal. So the signal flow is going like this, by the way. It's going echo, reverb, tremolo. Even though the numbers go 1, 2, 3, this defaults to being set up with the signal chain going that way, but it is actually going that way. It's something you specify in the settings. So I wanted these three pedals, but also I wanted to be able to control one parameter of each. So on the echo, I wanted to be able to control the mix. On the reverb, I wanted to be able to control the mix. And on the tremolo, I wanted to be able to control the speed. And so I assigned these three knobs to do those three things. So first of all, before I get into it, you'll see if I turn this, it controls the... Well, you won't see it. If I turn this, it controls the amount of delay repeats. If I turn this, it controls the amount of reverb level. And if I turn this, it controls the amount, I'll do this with this hand, it controls the amount, sorry, wrong one. This, it controls the amount, or the tremolo speed, right? So, that's what's happening. These three pedals are on, or these three pedals are available to me, echo, a reverb, and a tremolo. I literally navigated menus really quickly to pull them up, and then I need to switch them on with the switch. With the echo, I have it set though, so that when the secondary foot switch is selected, each foot switch has two functions. It's either mash, or in certain circumstances it can be a tap tempo. I have it set to a tap tempo here. So all I do is hold it down and I can change the BPM. So what does it sound like? So right now I have this set to an echo rec, and I have a dotted eighth on one side and quarter notes on the other. Sounds pretty epic. If I want more delay, say I want to do a kind of a rhythmic thing, so it goes to that from this. So this basically controls the amount of delay in the mix. Turn the level back down, really, really handy. Then that's the delay. I go over to the reverb then and turn off the delay. Reverb. Turn the middle knob, get more reverb. Right, and then on the last switch I have this tremolo. I can slow it down or speed it up. So in that sense, this is really, really handy, right? Because it is like having three pedals. Obviously I can't instantly access all the parameters, but in order to do that, I simply hit this edit switch. I select whether I want the delay, the reverb, or the tremolo. So say I'm on delay and I want to say up the feedback time, I simply turn this center knob and get more feedback. Very easy to edit. Go back to play mode and it leaves, stays wherever you left. There. Same thing, if I want to edit the reverb, I simply hit the center switch and it tells me I'm on the reverb. If I want a brighter reverb, everything was on but the reverb there. A much brighter, kind of more trebly reverb. Not into that myself. And then on the same thing, hit edit, hit the third switch, I go to the pipeline top tremolo. Maybe a bit deeper. Flip back, turn the tremolo on. But when I'm out here, I can still control the speed. So in that way, in terms of its usability to pull up a sound really quickly in terms of controlling the parameters, fine. I'll just show you. Say I wanted to change that tremolo, for example, to a chorus, right? So if I hit edit, I just simply turn this knob until I find the, I think it's up top actually, the Corona chorus, hit play, and now I've got a chorus. Same thing, hit the edit switch and I can edit any parameters of what I want. So really, maybe lower the speed down, lower the mix down a little bit and get a much lighter chorus sound. You can only barely hear it there. Corona chorus is lovely actually. So that's the first part of the demo. It's just showing that it's very easy to, I'm pinging away here like mad. It's very easy to find all these different effects. So what I'm going to do now is show you when you start using it in a more pedalboard type configuration what you can do. Okay, so to show how you really get the most out of the Plethora, and I think that's really specific to the purpose, the design purpose behind this unit. What I've done is I've actually switched over to my pedalboard. So I've put the unit back on my pedalboard. I took it off for the initial part of the demo. I've put it back on my pedalboard and it's wired in stereo into one stereo loop on my Boss ES8 switcher. I've just made a demo about this new pedalboard. It's my pedalboard for next year. And I'll stick the link to that up here so you can go and examine the pedalboard in depth, because I go through all the pedals in that, but in this I'm only going to focus on how the X3 does so much heavy lifting in a situation like this, okay? So what that is the way the pedalboard set up is each song has 1, 2, 3, in this case 4 parts. In the next song has 2 parts, as in a preset per song part. And then I go up again and I have another song that has 2 parts, another song that has 1 part, another song that has, and so on, right? So my set list for my band is broken up into a preset per song part, right? Now, every time I change song, first of all, right? So you'll see when I hit switch 5 here, I go from Modern Disease, which is what this first 4 presets are, to Lonely Lives. And you'll see that I'll do that again, right? The preset of the pedalboard on the Plethora changes. So if I go back to preset 1, it changes back to the preset for that song. But if I go to preset 5, it changes to the preset for that song. So that's the first thing. Every time I select a new song, it pulls up a different pedalboard on the Plethora X3. And that pedalboard obviously includes modulation, delay and reverb, and sometimes noise gate. And that's what I use it for in this context, right? So all my gain and pitch shifting and compression and EQ, fuzz is all taken care of by outboard pedals, and then all my delay, reverb and modulation, most of it, because I have a vibe pedal here as well, but most of it is all taken care of by the Plethora X3, right? And that's where this comes into its own. Before I got this, I had a TC Electronic Flashback 2 X4 and the Line 6 M5 doing what this pedal is doing now. So that's the first thing. Every time I select a new song, I got to there actually, it changes the preset. So in that case, I've got a reverb, a delay and a chorus. And in this case, I've got a phaser, a delay and a reverb, right? So that's really important. Every time I change song, it pulls up a new preset that's specifically about that song. Okay, so the next thing is, As you know, when I demoed earlier in the tuner, you can hit this switch 3 times, put it into tuner mode. But what's annoying about that is, this is hard to explain. Basically, sometimes the way I have it routed, I use 2 amps when I'm playing with my originals band, which is what this board was for. And sometimes when I use the turn on the tuner, it only mutes one of the amps. So what I've done is I set up a preset on preset 8, right, that turns on the tuner and sends us both signals to it like this. So kills the sound and allows me to tune. All I do is turn the sound back on and go back to the preset I was on. Now, there's an interesting thing here. Because I have trails on, you can hear the pace of that delay changing as I switch from preset to preset. So if I go back to, say, here, I have one delay that's at 130 beats per minute, but if I immediately switch to here, you heard it changing pace there. So because I have trails on, it changes pace when I switch from one preset to the next. So just to demonstrate, the other thing I have to mention is, that's one thing. So I can turn on the tuner remotely, I can switch the pedal board remotely, but the other thing I can do is I can use CC messages to turn on and off individual effects. So for example, this song starts off with a big heavy fuzz part that goes like this. When I switch to the verse, it turns off the fuzz. But the delay and reverb is still on. But then when I go into the chorus, it turns on the rotary pedal, or the chorus, which is I'm using to sound like a rotary. To the solo part, it switches back off that chorus again. So what's interesting about that is it's able to replace all those different pedals for me, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to demonstrate like 3 or 4 of the different presets to show you the power of this unit. So if I go over to my next song then. Oh, by the way, obviously I've switched guitar. I'm now playing this Gretsch 5622T. Now, at the moment you'll hear that delay is only on one side. And then when I go to the next part of that, it turns the phaser on. So I go up to my next preset. On my next song, I should say. Now I have a noise gate, a delay, and a chorus. The delay is on, the noise gate's on. And it sounds like this. But the noise gate is strong enough to cancel the delay after one repeat. So then, interestingly in this song, I use the expression pedal to control the Plethora X3. So there comes a part where we get into the chorus where I go. When I get to that note, I want the delay repeats to be, the delay repeat mix to change from low to full, because I do this trilling part. So what I do is, if I push the expression pedal forward, you'll see the expression level, or the effects level, change on the Plethora X3. So it goes from this to this. For that part of the song, but then when I pull the expression pedal back and I switch to the next sound, it turns on the rotary. So that's that song. Next song, totally different again. In this song I use a vibrato, should be on actually. I use a vibrato on only one side of my amp combination to simulate chorus, and it sounds like this. My amps are too dirty, just give me 1 sec. Then when I hit the switch, it brings in the tube screamer for the chorus. So it turns out I'm slightly out of tune. So in that respect, it can both function as like just 3 pedals on the end of your covers board to have your delay, reverb, and a chorus maybe. But then you could go to a different song and have a pitch shifter that you might need for a certain cover or whatever. Or you can put it on a board like this where on a song by song basis, it pulls up a different preset every time you change to a new song in your band set. It's a very, very powerful piece of gear in a very, very small footprint. And with the MIDI capabilities it has, it makes it really usable. So there you go. The X3 or the Plethora X3 by TC Electronic. Obviously, I never went through the features at the start. It's got stereo in, stereo out. It's MIDI in, MIDI out. It's got a USB for controlling, for plugging into your computer to deep edit effects. You can also use an app via Bluetooth to organize your pedal boards. It's got 3 switches. These switches have a mash functionality where you can like make the delay go into self-oscillation by gradually pushing down the switch. You can use it to do pitch bends and stuff like that. And then these 3 knobs, as I said in the, as I demonstrated in the video, can be set to control any parameter of any of these effects that are on one pedal board at one time. So yeah, I mean, there's loads of videos out there on the X3. I just wanted to kind of show how it really comes into its own when you're using it with a MIDI switching system. And I think that the space saving element of this is really unbelievable. So there you go, the X3, Plethora X3 by TC Electronic. If you've watched this far, I say thank you. If you have watched and you've enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing. Any questions about the unit, throw them in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer them. And other than that, I shall see you in another video again soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.